Okay. So kitchen
Greetings, guys.
very difficult. Their domestic knife. I do think there is areas of innovation that we can do with kitchen knives. I hate to say it, not all kitchen knives need to have a point on them. That sounds like a crazy thing to say, but actually,
Well, what if they did something? This is a good idea. What if they made every kitchen knife magnetic? And then they made every shirt also magnetic, but the opposite. Yeah.
He's not talking about this topic yet, but I'm
cut
here
your
for it.
food without the point on the knife, which is an innovative way to sort of look at it. And in a country in crisis, I'm sorry, but yeah, let's look at that.
About like
Oh,
a fork.
yes. Genius.
No, I'm not going to poke him about it.
Bad forks.
If he talks about it, he talks about it.
Now to Dylan Mulvaney. He's back, and this time he's promoting fashion label Jean Paul Gaultier.
Oh, God.
What? He might have already talked about
Taking
it.
more jobs from women, the patriarchy always wins. Now,
Jesus Christ.
a lot has been said about Democrat-appointed activist judges, lawfare, and even the term judicial insurrection is starting to gain hold. Here is a judge, not talking about constitutional matters, but the importance of judges looking like the offenders. This is Judge Cassandra Collier-Williams.
I thought that it was important that, especially in criminal cases, where when you have people that on one side of the bench, they can look at the judge and say, wow, she looks like me, then maybe I have a better shot.
Yep, that's
always good. If the judge is black, they're going to give me a better sentencing. Wow. Just like the founding fathers wanted. Surely. Oh, wow. What a good way to do things.
really important. By the way, the judge's own son is in jail for murdering his wife, shooting her in the head 3 times. Let's check in now.
3 times? What the hell do you need to do it 3 times for? What an idiot. 3 times?
With brave women's rights warrior Kelly J. Keane. She is a great champion of women, and she's in the US to fight against the excesses of the trans movement.
Oh, no.
But the young woman interviewing her here insists that Kelly J. Keane call men trans women.
A man who calls himself a woman is not one, that you shouldn't transition children.
So how are trans women infringing on cis women's spaces?
So men in women's spaces makes it no longer a women's space, so we don't have a right to a woman's space if a man is allowed in it.
Have you ever felt personally unsafe with a trans woman in your presence?
Have I felt unsafe with men in my presence? Yes, 100%.
Trans women?
Yeah, men. So that would be free speech. If you say you're for free speech and you're trying to police my speech to call a man, then you wouldn't be for free speech, would you? Are you for free speech?
Why is there a Palestine flag here? I thought this was about trans stuff. The hell is this?
I guess not. Very upsetting.
And here is Kelly J. Keane telling women in burqas, those dehumanising Muslim modesty garments, to free themselves. You gotta love her.
Free yourselves, ladies. Free your faces. Free yourselves.
Okay.
And exciting news, folks. There's a new pronoun in town. Yes, it's flow and flows. Here's how you use it.
Today's pronoun of the day is flow. These pronouns were requested by someone who does currently use them or intends to use them in the future. The word flow suggests fluidity, movement, change, which can be important symbols for gender. All right, now let's see how to use these pronouns in a conversation. I miss Kim so much. Have you seen Flo today? Yeah, I ran into Flo at the library earlier today. Flo was working on Flo's presentation for tomorrow. Oh.
This is the girl from Progressive. That's confusing.
Oh, nice. I've been meaning to ask if Flo needs any help with it.
Oh my God.
I really appreciate that. Flo said that it's been really hard to handle all by Flo's self.
Now to Boulder, Colorado.
Jesus.
Earlier today, the site of an act of terrorism, domestic terrorism,
What is wrong with these
against
people?
a pro-Israel demonstration.
Oh my God.
People were set alight with a number
It's
of
Flo Rida?
individuals seriously
Oh,
hurt,
shit.
some with life-threatening injuries. This was among the first clips after the attack. In the chaos, you can see people running towards and away from the attack, and you can see the alleged attacker, Mohammed Solomon, to the left of your screen, topless and meters away from victims.
Just a minute. Well, I just want to watch this part about the news stuff.
Isn't this the guy that with the Molotov cocktails?
The thing is that your automod on Reddit is removing hundreds of posts. Do you know why? It's because you guys, like, let me just address this first, okay? Let me address this first. The media, I think, is losing a tremendous amount of its power. And I think the reason why the media is losing its power isn't necessarily because of, like, any stuff.
Okay, just making sure it's working.
It's because they're putting out information that's not newsworthy, and it's not informational, and it doesn't help people. So why is the news failing? Well, the news is failing because it's no longer news. That's the reason why it's failing. And so, like, for example, like the unhinged Trump does the same speech every single time, but now we need to be afraid of Trump's speeches. He's been doing the same thing every single time. And so that's the real issue that happens, right? And you're correct. Yeah, 100%. Like I said, this is considered news. Well, I do think it's very newsworthy that MSNBC, like, I mean, 41% collapse is fucking insane, though. Like, that is a crazy level of fucking collapse. It's unreal. Yeah, absolutely. You're supposed to be scared of everything. Well, the reason why they want you to be scared of everything is because if you're scared of everything, you're going to tune into the news to find out how to avoid it the next time. And that's the whole reason why it happens. And so a lot of people might not understand this. They might not get it, but that is the reason. That is their goal. They want to keep you paranoid.
You're not going to make someone... You're not going to make someone who doesn't watch the news start watching the news. That's all I can say, honestly. No matter how much fear you try to put into them, I guess. If they just don't want to watch it, they're not going to.
About it, yeah. So for every 10 people that were watching, there's now only 6. And that's a really bad ratio, by the way. That is a crazy bad ratio. And Asmon Gold News Network, #1. Well, the reason why a lot of people watch me is that I think...
It's only a 40% loss.
And I don't actively try to put a spin on things. That's unfair.
It's pretty big, though. Yeah, it is a big number.
Like, I think that there's a lot of, like, whenever Elon Musk was talking today about how, like, is there time for a new political party? I think
yes,
the answer
there is.
Yes. But I don't, the problem is that
100%.
Every political party usually ends up pulling from one side more than the others. And so it ends up being counterproductive, like the Bull Moose or the Whig Party or like libertarians. People blame the Green Party on Kamala Harris losing. And so that's really why it happens. But yeah, the Gold Party, I like that. That sounds really good. It also converse with you, so it sounds closer. Yeah, I think so. Do you think people are getting bored of being afraid all the time? I think there is that too. Like, there's a degree of fatigue that people have where, like, if everything is an emergency and everything is a constant.
One thing I want to say is, who's afraid all the time? Like, can you point me to the people that are constantly living in fear? Because that's awful. I feel bad for them.
Yeah, that's a really great, I love that term, fear fatigue. People have fear fatigue. And they're just exhausted from having everything be this constant, highly elevated, extremely emotional situation. I think they're totally out of their fucking mind dealing with that shit. And so that's really what it is. Do you think the entire world is tired of Trump? Well, I know Elon is. And other than that, I'm not really too sure, but I don't know.
Dude, the crash out is so good.
Very disappointing that this has happened. Like, I generally like Trump, and I generally like what he does.
I want to know where it starts.
Musk too. It's disappointing and sad to see this happen, and I wish it wouldn't have happened. But the reality is that it was inevitable that this would have happened. Right? I mean, again, like, it's inevitable. And I don't really see how it gets recovered after this. But I'll read a few more comments, and then maybe we'll play a little bit of games, you know, do a little bit of that, right? And what do you think would happen eventually whenever people all over the world become fear fatigued completely? Well, that's whenever they can introduce things like the Patriot Act, too. So, yeah, we need a middle-class party. The poor people have the Democrats. The rich people have the Republicans. I think it's the opposite now. I think that the poor people, Like, so I think that these super rich people are still Republicans, but the people that are well off are Democrats, and then the people that are really poor as fuck are actually a lot of times Republicans. Like, if you look at a lot of the states that voted for Trump overwhelmingly, they're some of the poorest states. And I think the reason why is that they're sick of having, you know, being talked down to by a bunch of, you know, like coastal Democrat liberal elites, right? And that's really it. Yeah, Oklahoma, exactly. Yeah, because they're stupid. Well, people are stupid. So how is it that people are how is it that they're stupid because it's their fault?
Give me a second.
Other people are stupid because of lack of education. Maybe it's lack of education for all of them. And also some people are just stupid too. So yeah, there's that too. So is Trump on Epstein? So Trump is on the Epstein files? I think he probably is. Now the extent of what he is unknown, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was something that was worse. Yeah, but I mean, I'm gonna wait and see what happens and what people say. So I just don't know yet. It's a big accusation.
And I'm back.
And I want to see
Where's
some
he at?
fucking receipts. Am I crazy for that? Would you vote for Elon if he ever tries to become the president for freedom?
He can't run for
I
president.
don't think Elon would want to be the president. To be honest with you, I don't think that's it. That's not his goal.
Would people vote for him? Yes, probably, but he can't
I
run.
think that's really what's happening in general. Elon can't? Yeah, no, he's not able to do that.
It'd be nice.
So, okay, you know what? Let's stop scrolling Twitter.
I'd vote for him.
And, yeah,
if I voted.
That. And
That's a funny statement.
I disagree. If the libs had that on Trump, they would have used it. No, I think it's because it's on themselves too. And I think that the only way you can make sense out of the entire thing is
I think he would cut costs.
there is a third party that has all of the information about Jeffrey Epstein, and if either side releases it without while redacting or not including part of the information, that third party will include the other information.
I mean, I don't think a Social Security is where he would start.
They both have access to it.
I think, like, the defense. Well, yeah, but he was looking into Social Security to find out, like, who. Yeah, cuts the people that were receiving it. That who knows if they even exist anymore. His kids still, like, people's children still collecting their Social Security benefits for them. He cut those people out. Good riddance. You know what I mean? Like, that is something that should be cut. I don't think he should have been cutting directly, like, up to him. But if all he did was look at it and say, hey, you should look into this, and just provided a list of people and said, why are you paying all of these? Then that's fine. Who reapplies? That's a very effective way of figuring out how many of them aren't needed. How many people died at, like, they're collecting benefits and they died at 12 and their parents are still collecting their benefits. You know what I mean? Like, it's an effective way to do that. I agree, but then if I were in Elon's position and I were, or Donald Trump's, let's say I was in Trump's position, right? What I would do is I would write a bill that gave people leniency on, like, rent and stuff. Remember, like, what they did for COVID? I would initiate something like that where people aren't going to lose their lives over a temporary interruption over their Social Security. And then I would actually increase the Social Security that everybody would get on the next payment. So it's like, I'm going to interrupt everybody for a month, but you're going to get 2 months payments when you reapply. And then you're going to be able to catch up on what you missed the previous month because there's a safety bubble built into the law. Make better servers. Increase server efficiency. Use AI to handle some of the interactions that the servers handle. You know what I mean? No, everything could be solved.
It's updating. Okay, here we go. Now it's launching. Let's get it. Anti-cheat in an MMO. Why?
Yeah, but that's not enough to apply for Social Security when I don't get Social Security. They can't draw something that I don't have. You know what I mean? I'm not injured. They can't prove that I'm injured. There's always going to be bad actors. You can't get rid of bad actors. There's currently scammers that are scamming the system right this very minute. Right now, there are people scamming the system. So how does restarting it stop people from scamming the system? You know what I mean? It's not a matter of AI. It's just human nature. That's what they're going to do. They're going to cheat. Anyways, he's playing a game now. So I don't want to watch him play a game right now. I want to see kind of where this rabbit hole started. So let's see. Exactly. I don't understand not pushing back on this new bill. What would be the downsides of Mike Lee just announced that he's drafting the amendment, which would deem members of Congress ineligible for re-election if the deficit is more than 3%. Guess it more than defeats the cost savings achieved by Doge team at the great personal cost and risk. Is this part of the same post? Elon, maybe Elon. He just reposted it. Okay. Elon Musk opposing the big beautiful bill shouldn't be a shock to anyone. He literally sat next to Donald Trump and explained, we need to cut spending, not pass more spending. Elon Musk explains how to end inflation and drop interest payments forever, provided the economy grows. Yep, provided the economy grows faster than the money supply, which means you stop the government overspending and waste, and the output of real useful goods and services exceeds the increase in the money supply. You have no inflation, and you also drop the interest payments people pay. The reason the interest payments are so high is because national debt keeps increasing. So the government is competing to sell debt with the private citizens. This drives up interest rates. If you cut back on the deficit, you actually have an amazing situation for people because you get rid of inflation, you drop the interest rate. That means people's mortgage payments go down, the credit card payments go down, the car payments go down. Yeah. Let's hear what he had to say.
Provided the economy grows faster than the money supply, which means you stop the government overspending and the waste, and the output of real useful goods and services exceeds the increase in the money supply, you have no inflation. And you also drop the interest payments that people pay. The reason the interest payments are so high is because the national debt keeps increasing. So the government is competing to sell debt with the private citizens. This drives up the interest rate. If you cut back on the deficit, you actually have an amazing situation for people because you get rid of inflation and you drop the interest rates. And that means people's mortgage payments go down, their credit card payments go down, their car payments go down, their student loans go down. Their life becomes more affordable and their standard of living improves. Provided the economy grows faster.
Okay. I can agree with most of what he said there.
The government overspending and the waste, and the output of real useful goods and services exceeds the increase in the money supply, you have no inflation.
The output of real goods and services exceeds the money supply. So you have $10 and you have 100 paper clips, right? And then you have $20 and you have 5,000 paper clips. and your money is not worth less because there's more goods. More goods than money. More money than goods. Does it make the dollar more than the paper clips? Because you have higher supply. But you have no demand for that supply because you have more supply, right? I've already got a paperclip. Why do I need another paperclip? There's no reason to spend the money. There's more goods than money, and you've already got one of the goods because you can afford the good. I don't know. I don't know if I quite agree with the logic there, but maybe I'm missing something. $20 ago. This started more than 20 hours ago. When did this bill happen, man? I need to read his bill. Yeah, right about 536 feet. I want to see the bills. Nice. Congrats. Modify. May 23rd. Where's the current one? June 4th. What is this? So who doesn't do this? What do you mean? This is what everybody does. You go to Harvard to exploit expensive research and development to advance your own ambitions. That is literally the definition of why anybody would want to go to Harvard at all. Because they have the funds to do the research that advances your ambitions. Like, that's why you want to go to a college that has that kind of funding and a capability. False information for political or for other reasons are adversaries. Who decided the information was false? You know what I mean? Like, that's one thing. False information is a funny claim because you better be able to prove something's false objectively. It has to be objectively false. Every person that looks at it has to know it's false. Our adversaries, including the People's Republic of China, try to take advantage of American higher standard, exploiting student visa programs for improper purposes by using visiting students to collect information at elite universities. Okay. Require host institutions of foreign students to provide sufficient information when asked to enable the federal government to identify and address misconduct by those foreign students. In my judgment, it presents an acceptable risk to our national security and academic institution to refuse to provide sufficient information when asked about known instances of misconduct and criminality committed by its foreign students. What are you considering criminal? You know what I mean? Because that's the caveat here. What is misconduct and criminality by foreign students? Because if their words hurt your feeling and you consider that criminal, I've got news for you. That's wrong. This principle is one reason why SCPP regulations require foreign students to obey federal and state criminal laws. This is everybody is required to follow federal and state criminal laws. It doesn't matter if they're foreign or not. That's just basic human rights. That the laws are developed around human rights. And require universities to keep record about foreign students' studies in the United States. Require universities to keep records about foreign students' studies in the United States. Why? Why just the foreign ones? Why not keep records of every student? I mean, they already keep records. Like if I wanted to go back to my high school and ask how many credits I had in each class, I guarantee they could tell you how many science credits, math credits, history credits. They could tell you what you had because you graduated from the school. So every school already keeps these records. What special records are they needing to keep to make Trump happy? You know what I mean? That's silly. Again, define criminal activity. Because if criminal activity is breaking actual laws, then that's fine. I think as long as someone is here on a visa, they should have the full rights of any citizen. So if their words their protected free speech is the reason for that they're being thrown out, then that criminal doesn't apply to speech. It doesn't. Crime rates at Harvard University, including violent crime rates, have drastically risen in recent years. Okay. Evidence, I guess. Let's start with 2015. Let's start with 2022. Harvard University experienced a rise in reported criminal offenses, including a notable increase in violent crimes. 208 crimes were reported in 2022. 46%. So it was 128, 130, somewhere around there. It was 130 crimes, and it went to 208 violent crimes. This isn't, okay, hold on, because this isn't the full picture, right? So this is 46% Harvard University. Where is Harvard located? Right? Massachusetts. Crime rate in Massachusetts in 2022. $322 per 100,000 people. 100,000 people. This number. How many people? Hold on. This is a fun statistic. How many students attended ENDED Harvard in 2022? Let's go down the rabbit hole. 24,000 undergraduate. 7,000 students in college, 4,000 students. Actually, let's do better. How many people I need the full number. The full number of people inside the school. Had a total of 25,266 degree students enrolled. Regarding the number of people who worked in Harvard, 19,000 employees. Another source, 20,000. One source mentions 16,000. So we'll roll with the low number, right? Including 2,400 faculty members. 2022, okay, so based on these numbers, we've got 25 and 16, right? Students and teachers. We have 41,000 people. We have crimes to people, 208 crimes to 41,000. They say the normal crime rate is 322 per 100,000. All right. So we have a 0.3% crime rate to like person. You know what I mean? Like, so 0.3, and Harvard had a 0.5. Half of 1% and a third of 1%. Those crime rates are pretty low, just in general, based on like crime per volume. That's pretty low. Less than 1% chance of, like, if you told me I had less than 1% chance that I was gonna like lose the lottery or something, you know what I mean? So a 99.5% chance that I'm gonna win the lottery, you better believe I'm going to play the fucking lottery. You know what I mean? So this percentage is not much. It's negligible. 208. Did I enter 308 or 208? To 41,000. Yeah. Man. I don't know. Let's see the numbers though. Okay, so now we're gonna go to 2024. 2024. So first, let's see if there's an increase. (2023). Give me some numbers. They're not giving me numbers, but they're giving me a percentage, and I know the number from last time, right? So we know it was 208, and we're seeing a 55% increase, right, from last year. So now we're up to 322 violent crimes in 2023. 314 per 100,000. What was it before? So it actually went down here. So it went down here, it went up at the school. Okay. Okay. So 20, 10, 2,400, and 21,000, right? So 21, 278, 7,110, 2,400, 10,400, and 2,667, right? So they've got more staff in 2023 and students. They have a rise in crime, bringing the number up to, what was it? %55 increase from last year. So 322 violent crimes to that quantity of people. 322. Let's even give it the 0.5, half, divided by, and we'll give it that number, that 61,855. Oh, what happened? Was it 322.5? What is going on here? Stop. Clear. 322.5 divided by 61,855. 5.2. That's a half of a percent. Is it a bigger half than last time, though? That's the real factor, right? So last time it was a 0.5. It was 5.0, and it's 5.2. So it's it's 2/100ths of a percent higher than it was last year, with a 55% increase in reported crimes. 2/100ths of a percent different. That's not much of an increase. I'd say a lot of the people like it's all right. So anyways, failed to discipline at least some categories of conduct violations on campus. Given these facts, it's imperative, in my judgment, that federal government be able to assess and, if necessary, address misconduct and crimes committed by foreign students at Harvard. Despite the risks described above, Harvard University has refused the recent request of the DHS for information about foreign students' known illegal activity. Known illegal. Why do you need information on it if you already know? Known dangerous and violent activity. These kids, they're in school. They don't have time to do anything but school. You know what I mean? Known threats to other students. Known deprivation of rights to other classmates or university. and whether those activities occurred on campus, and other related data. Harvard provided data on misconduct by only 3 students, and the data it provided was so deficient that the DHS could not evaluate whether it should take further action. Harvard's actions show that it either is not fully reporting its disciplinary records for foreign students, or it is not seriously policing its foreign students. In my judgment, these actions and failures directly undermine the federal government's ability to ensure that foreign nationals admitted in the student or exchange visitor visa remain in compliance with federal law. These concerns have compelled the federal government to conclude that Harvard University is no longer a trustworthy steward of international student and exchange visitor programs. When a university refuses to uphold its legal obligations, including its record-keeping and reporting obligations, the consequences ripple far beyond the campus. They jeopardize the integrity of the entire United States student exchange visitor visa program system, compromise national security, and embolden other institutions similarly disregard the rule of law. I think they should. I think all of them should disregard it. How about that? Harvard University has also developed extensive entanglements with foreign countries, including our adversaries. According to the Harvard Crimson, Harvard has received more than $150 million in total contributions from foreign government over the last 5 years, and over $1 billion from foreign sources over the last 10 years. Harvard has received more than $150 million. This money that they're receiving from foreign governments over the years is literally, this could be funding programs from those foreign like countries for taking in X number of students from their countries. Like, let's just say that, Poland signs a contract with Harvard saying, for every 1,000 students, you will have a foreign Polish student. You know what I mean? So you have 10,000 students, you have 100 foreign Polish students. I didn't do the math on that. But anyways, let's just say they did a contract like that. And Poland gives Harvard $10 million to maintain their portion of that contract and ensure that they have foreign Polish students in the school. And this could be several different countries signing contracts like this, not just one country. It doesn't name a specific country, right? So all it's saying is they took money from governments, but it doesn't say why they took money from governments. And over $1 billion from foreign sources. Guess what? Because the student is foreign, all of his tuition is from foreign sources. So every foreign student is going to be providing foreign sourced income to Harvard so that they can attend the school. So $1 billion in foreign sources over 10 years. Well, yeah, of course, they're paying tuition. You know what I mean? That doesn't make sense either. That's a silly statement. Like, obviously, they're going to get foreign sourced money. Harvard has received more than $150 million from China alone. From which part? Is China the $150 million in total contributions from foreign governments? Or are they part of that $1 billion number because Chinese students are over here attending classes? Which one is it? In exchange, Harvard has, among other things, repeatedly hosted and trained members of the Chinese Communist Party paramilitary organization. Hosted and trained members. This is disingenuous again. So this tries to make you believe that they are accepting communist paramilitary individuals, like, on paper. It's like, oh, look, a Chinese Communist Party paramilitary organization member wants to come to our school and learn from us. Let's just sign them up. Harvard has nothing to do with the person after they have attended the school and moved on. So if someone attends Harvard and then goes back to China and joins the Communist Party, that's not Harvard's fault. They didn't teach a paramilitary organization member. You know what I mean? They taught a student in their class who went on to do that afterwards. So I would need some kind of proof that freaking Harvard said, oh yeah, you're in that organization. Oh, we'll just sign you up. You know what I mean? It's every bit of this language is disingenuous, in my opinion. It's not clear enough. There's not enough supporting evidence in what's being stated here, unless they can provide me with something that precisely explains how they arrived to that conclusion. Because you can make numbers say whatever the fuck you want them to say if you try hard enough. Harvard researchers have also partnered with China-based individuals on research that could advance China's military modernization, according to the same probe. Everything that you can learn in a college could advance your military modernization. You could go learn algebra and you have effectively learned something that you could use to advance military operations. Oh, wow, I learned how to calculate the curvature of the arc of my missiles so I can more accurately aim my missiles. Oh, boy. I really learned a lot there. Like, let's be real. You can take anything from the school, and now you are somehow advancing China's military. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous. Finally, Harvard University continues to flout the civil rights of its students and faculty, triggering multiple federal investigations. Harvard's discrimination against disfavored races in admissions was so blatant that the Supreme Court decision ending the practice nationwide bears Harvard's name. Yet even after that Supreme Court decision, Harvard and its affiliated organizations on campus continue to deny hardworking Americans equal opportunities. Let's be real. Harvard is a school that most Americans can't afford to join. And if they can somehow get a grant based on their academic scholarships, they are so overperforming and so intellectually grounded that they are able to pave their own way to there, then they can probably get in. The issue is a lot of what Harvard has going on is it's who you know to get into school. That's a lot of what's going on there. So as far as American families go, if your daddy's not rich and you don't have the right connections and they don't donate the money to the school, you probably ain't getting in. And the people that do get in, they have a lot of those initiative programs where they want to keep a certain number of females. They want to keep a certain number of this class and that class of individual. You know what I mean? So that's how they operate. So yes, it looks like it's harder for us to get in, and that's because it is. That's just flat out how it works. You have to be so exceedingly excellent to get into those schools because of how many paths they create for other individuals. By trying to be equal, they have excluded the common folk, I guess is what you would say. Instead of those Americans, Harvard admits students from how do you say that word? Non-egalitarian nations. What the fuck is that? Is this not American nations? Like, what is an egalitarian nation? I've never heard this term in my life. Equal and deserve equal rights and opportunities. Who believes this garbage? A person who advocates or supports egalitarian principles. Okay. All people are equal. No. They deserve equal rights and opportunities, yes. Are equal, no. We are all human, but not all humans are equal. Some people excel in certain other areas than other people, and they don't always equate out to zero. You know what I mean? You can take a stat block from one person and compare it to a stat block to another person, and X person does not equal Y person, like 0 to 0. You don't have 50 stat points that this guy's assigned, 25 stat points to intelligence, and that guy's got 25 in strength, and, this guy's got 15 in dex, and both people have 50 points. No, sometimes you got a motherfucker over on this side that's got 180 stat points, and you got a guy over here with 12 stat points. We can also call this IQ, but no, I'm just kidding. That's only intelligence. But what I'm saying is it does not always equate to 0 when you compare the two. So I think generally it'd be pretty close, generally, but not always. Anyways, including nations that seek destruction of the United States and its allies, or extermination of entire peoples. It is not in the interest of the United States to further compound Harvard's discrimination against non-preferred races. What is a non-preferred races? Are we trying to call white Americans non-preferred races? You know what I mean? Like, this is silly. I think non-preferred races is such a subjective term that based on who you say that term to, they're going to picture something totally different than what you're going to picture, because that's how humans are. We're all different. We all have a different perspective and a different point of view. So this is a subjective term. You can't have non-preferred races. It's subjective. It's not objective. Anyway, national origins, shared ancestries, or religions discrimination against non-preferred races, national origins, so discrimination against national origins, against shared ancestries, or religions by further reducing opportunities for American students through excessive foreign student enrollment. Considering these facts, I have determined that it is necessary to restrict the entry of foreign nationals who seek to enter the United States solely or principally to participate in a course study at Harvard University or an exchange visitor program hosted by Harvard University. Such restrictions are authorized under sections of... So you know what you do? You send Harvard University over to UK and you split your staff and you teach over there and over here. And you can have whatever students you want over there. This is how Harvard just circumvents this entire situation. You want a loophole? There it is. Build an outpost. Build a freaking, what do they call it? An FOB, a forward operating base. Go build a base for Harvard. And actually, Harvard could be a dick. They could just move their whole operations overseas. And now one of the most prestigious schools to go learn from is overseas. And now American students have to travel to Harvard to work to apply for that school. Now you got to travel. Like, they could be a dick about it. Considering these facts, I've determined it necessary to restrict entry. Okay, sure. An exchange visitor program hosted by Harvard University. Such restrictions are authorized under sections 212F and 215A of the Immigration and Nationality Act, which authorize the president to suspend any entry of any class of aliens whose entry would be detrimental in the interest of the United States. You will have to prove that the interest, like the individual, is detrimental to the interest of the United States on a case-by-case basis for every person that wanted to enter the country. You have to prove that they're detrimental to the interests. I have determined the entry of the class of, so you can't just deny them because they want to go to Harvard. You have to prove that they want to enter to go to school to be detrimental. So you'll have to prove their connection to some organization before they enter the school. And those organizations aren't going to have those affiliations with those people until after they get out of school, if they were sending people to school for that purpose anyways. They would go so many cousins removed to communicate with that person to send them overseas. You wouldn't even know. So, you're not going to stop it. I have determined that the entry of the class of foreign nationals described above is detrimental. The entry of the class of foreign nationals described above. Which foreign nationals? I don't remember you describing foreign nationals. Are you talking about the Chinese Communist Party people? Because again, they probably weren't that when they came over. This is silly. Because in my judgment, Harvard's conduct has rendered it unsuitable destination for foreign students and researchers. You can't just say everybody that wants to go to Harvard is not allowed into the United States. You can't do that. Wanting better education so you can go back and live a decent life at your home, like your home country, is not detrimental to the United States. It's beneficial to the individual that wants to better their own life, just like every person that wants to attend Harvard. It's got nothing to do with that individual. You know what I mean? Until such time as the university shares the information that the federal government requires to safeguard national security and the American public. It is in the national interest to deny foreign nationals access to Harvard under the auspice of educational exchange. I've never heard of this word either. What the fuck is this word?
Auspice.
Under the auspice. It is in the national interest to deny foreign nationals access to Harvard under the auspice of educational exchange. Why does this not make sense to me? This word doesn't make sense here. Plural noun. Why does this not make sense to me? This word doesn't make sense. A divine or prophetic token. So if you just said a token, Harvard under the token of educational exchange, it still doesn't make sense. Like under the guise, under, I don't know. There's other words that you could use to allude to the fact that you want, like, they're not doing it for educational exchange, but they're trying to make it seem like they are. You know what I mean? Whatever. Now, therefore, I, John DJT, present the United States of America by authority vested in me by the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America, including sections 212F and 215A of the INA 8 USC 1182, 1185, section 301 of Title 3 of the United States Code, hereby find, absent the measures set forth in this proclamation, the entry into the United States of persons described in section 1 of the proclamation would, except as provided for in section 2, be detrimental to the United States, and their entry should be subject to certain restrictions, limitations, and exceptions. Okay, let's see it. The entry of any alien into the United States as a non-immigrant to pursue a course of study at Harvard University. Like, if you don't see how problematic it is that they are writing a law or a bill to target a specific organization and not all organizations. Like, it doesn't say study at a college. It says study at Harvard University. If you don't see how, like, targeting a specific business or nonprofit or branch or any individual, like if this said like targeting Flick the Fox, targeting Twitch chat user, you know what I mean? If this specifically said targeting you, you would see what the problem is with them targeting the university and laws like this. You don't write laws against a university. You write laws against the actions of the university, not that university in particular. So this is stupid. But under section or this, I'm not going to read the sections again, or to participate in exchange visitor program hosted by Harvard University. Any alien in the United States to pursue or participate in an exchange visitor program host. So this says if you're already here, you're an immigrant, you're already here, and you're participating as an exchange student at Harvard, they're saying they can send you back now just because you're at Harvard, already getting your education, because you're participating in the exchange visitor program. That's dumb. Maybe not, because this is during the entry of an alien in the United States to pursue or participate. So they can't pursue a course. They can't come over for 5 weeks to take an algebra course and go home, or like a crash course law course. You know what I mean? They can't come here for 5 weeks for one course, and they can't participate in exchange visitor program. Okay. It is suspended and limited, subject to the section 2 of this proclamation. Okay. The suspension and limitation on entry pursuant to section 1 of this proclamation shall apply to aliens who enter or attempt to enter to begin attending Harvard University through SEVP after the date of this proclamation. So there we go. People who are already attending, who have been in the process of already attending it, should be allowed back. Because specifically to begin attending Harvard. So if you're a second year Harvard and you went back to your country to relax, vacation, like summer lets out, you go back to your country, they still have to grant you access to go back to school, because you're not in the begin attending Harvard University. You are already attending. You just left for a break. So they, by their own language here, they're required to let you back. What am I talking about? This bill's silly. I'm looking at the Harvard University bill. How's it going? The Secretary of the State shall consider in the Secretary's discretion whether foreign nationals or who currently attend Harvard University. Okay, now they're talking about currently attending students. Let me look at this. Currently attend and are in the United States pursuant to visas and who otherwise meet the criteria described in Section 1 shall have their... So now this part says that they can take students that are already here and send them away. That's BS. The suspension and limitation on entry pursuant to Section 1 of the proclamation shall not apply to any alien who enters the United States to attend other universities through the SEVP. That's the problem with the bill. That's the problem with the law. It's written to target one university and not all. That's bad. The suspension and limitation on entry pursuant to Section 1 of the proclamation shall not apply to any alien whose entry would be in the national interest, as determined by the Secretary of State, the Secretary of Homeland Security, or their respective designees. No later than 90 days after the date of proclamation, the Attorney General and the Secretary of Homeland Security shall jointly submit to the President, through the Assistant to President, National Security Affairs, a recommendation on whether the extension or renewal of the suspension and limitation on entry in Section 1 of this proclamation is in the interest of the United States. Okay, so this proclamation was a 90-day proclamation, and then they have to revisit it and decide if it needs to continue or if it should be suspended. I understand. Operational action to implement this order. The Secretary of State General and all right. I'm getting sick of this one. I've said all my talking points that I think I have to say on this and what I think is dumb about this. So let's see if we can see something else. I want to see this big bill. Like, I want to know what this bill is that everybody's up in arms about. Let's see. What is the big beautiful bill, man? I need to know. Is this one the one it's supposed to be? That's May 30th, though. I want to read the bill. Like, what's the bill number? Is it HB what? What? House bill, congressional bill, presidential bill, like CB, like what is it? Please give me something I can look at. Is that the Wagyu? How is it? Okay. Why is this so hard to find? Let's chat GPT it. HR 1790. Thank you. Thank you, freaking ChatGPT. HR 1790, right? Open. I want to see it. It started off as me wanting to see what this is about, and it turned into a random rabbit hole about Harvard University. Let's cut that. We don't need to look at the violent crime in Harvard anymore. All right. All right. Give me it. It's introduced. Golden Age Act of 2025. Is that really what they're calling this thing? The Golden Age Act. You better load, bitch. All right. Introduced January, February, March. Yeah, March 3rd of 25. This is not the bill that I was looking at. Bro, he put his face on the $100 bill, and they're going to start printing that shit in 2028. Someone fucking revoke this one. I don't want to look at his face on a dollar bill no more. Trump is going to be the face of a $100 bill on December 31st, 2028. Like, what? No, I don't want to look at that motherfucker every time I put a $100 bill on the table. I guess it's time, boys. It's time to go cashless. That's where we're at then. I don't know what you mean. We don't print $100 bills anymore, Mr. Trump, sir. Sorry. Everybody uses cryptocurrency now. Oh, no. That'll never work. And the reason it won't work, just let me tell you why it doesn't work. The Secretary of Treasury shall release. So this isn't even what I was looking for. What is this? May 22nd, 2025. I need to see something that's May 22nd. Medicaid work requirements. Stricter Medicaid, eliminating taxes on tips and overtime pay. Where's the dates on these things? Latest action 6/4/25. That hasn't even. Oh, that was today. Okay, hold on. It was 3. Let me control F this. We're going to look for taxes. Okay, that's not what I'm looking for. $250 per page. I'm up in arms. What do we got? Control F, tax. Next. Tax credit to electric generators, low income housing tax credit, Elimination Act, federal gift shop, same 4. Okay. So I guess we go to the next page then. 520. Is there anything that's like 3 / 22, right? 322. Nothing on this page. Next. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Mum mum men. Men. Ooh. Men. Man. Bro, Cloudflare, come on. Give me page 2. Actually, let me cut back the size. Maybe the size is killing it. Let's cut it down to 100. Let's go to page 4. What do I call it? VPN, right? Let me turn it on. It's gonna kick me off my game, but all right. My game crashed. My internet's back. All right, try again. Has he lost his mind? Is he deaf or is he blind? Bro, they're trying to keep me out. They don't want me to read it. The whole government's so slow. I'm an old man. I gotta eat my Metamucils. Maybe. Metamucil. Oh yeah, I'm healthy now. I'm out of water. All right. I guess I'm going to take a break. I'm going to shut down because the government's website's not even working. I still don't know what the stupid bill supposedly does and why they're having this falling out because of it. I think it's hilarious that the whole crash out thing is going on right now. It's very amusing to see Elon Musk like we all know Elon can be a bit crash outy, you know what I mean? Like he does it, but if what he's throwing out there is true, which we can't verify, you know what I mean? Because we don't have any of the files. We don't have any proof. We have one man's statements right now. I don't have any proof. I've never read any proof. Someone out there might have it. I don't. But it's crazy the allegations that flew out of Elon on this. You can't write better Hollywood movies. You know what I mean? It's wild. But I'm gonna head out. It's about bedtime anyways, and I want a little bit of time to play my video game before bed. So it's been a great time. As always.